Hello, my name is Manuel Rodriguez and this is my presentation for the final project of information encoding standards. Okay, first, how is the JWT used in API security? Well, basically, this is how it works. First, the client make a request to the API to get some information or to post, and then the API creates a token. This token is sent to the client, so that way the client will be verified, and then the client with this token will be authorized to do any request in the future to this API, and it will be authenticated so that way the client is not going to be sending their information or their credentials every time he has to make a request. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate the API. Okay, let's go to Visual Studio. Here we can see start. Here we can see the API client and server projects that we created here based on the YouTube videos. Okay, so we're going to have two important web pages, the client and the server. Let's start with the client. When we're at the client, we're going to request to go to home secret page. That way he's going to ask for some registration from us. We're going to put a user, Manuel. This is going to generate a cookie in the browser that will allow us to enter into this page. Now that we're authenticated with this cookie, we are allowed to enter to the client secret page every time. Because it was created the token. Now let's see the server page. Okay, in the server page we have in the secret server page we have a data set that we found on in the internet. So we're going to request to get that data. We're going to do it on Postman. So first we have to in the server page we're going to ask to go to home authenticate. This is going to lead us. This is the token generated by the server that it's going to allow us to authenticate. Okay, so now let's go to Postman. Let's create a new request. Okay, here we're going to put the link. We're going to copy it into Postman. But we don't want to get the data from authenticate. We want to get the data from home secret. Let's go here, headers, and we're going to use a key that it's authorization. Authorization, yeah. Authorization. Here is we're going to put the token that the web page has given to us. Copy and paste. Okay, now we have it. So we're going to send the request, and here we have. Okay, we now get the header, server secret page, and we got all the data from the data set we chose. Okay, so here we can see the data acquired by Postman. Okay, that's basically the API. Let's close everything and let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so based on this, what can we recommend? We recommend to use OAuth. Is the best authorization protocol because it uses JWT as a token, and it's the best way because it uses a server side and a client side to store as a storage, so we can have data information in both sides. This is the best choice for identifying personal user accounts and granting proper permissions. Basically, because the user logs into the system, and now the system that basically will request an authentication, to do any request or whatever. But once the user has been authenticated, it doesn't have to be sending their personal information every time. Now the user is authenticated, so it will have the token provided by the server, and that user is going to be a secure user. I think this is the best way for create a secure transmission of information between the client and the user. Okay, I had forgotten to present myself. I don't know why I put the light after the API. Okay, well, my name is Manuel Rodriguez. I am from Colombia. I'm 23 years old, and I'm an industrial engineer. This is me. Okay, now let's start with the questions about security technologies recommendations. These are the questions made by a company to us. Okay, so first question, how can we transfer personal data securely within their network? They are asking that. So I recommend Managed File Transfer. The Managed File Transfer software is a service that manages the secure transfer of data from one computer to another through a network. Basically, what makes MFT different from FTP or HTTP is that they use the data encryption methods to store the files and to transfer the files. So all the data is encrypted. They also authenticate all the users, so only some users that are allowed to access the information are going to get information. And also it generates detailed reports on user and file transfer activity, so it has a really good tracking of all the information and all the data. That is really good to know what really happens to the data and to be aware of the importance of keeping the privacy of personal data. Okay, second question, what security protocol is best for transferring personal files? I think it's SFTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol, because this transfer the files with the secure shell connection, and it's actually a really secure encrypted network protocol that enables a remote login to operate over a network that lacks security. Basically, SFTP offers encryption, and it offers it transfers the data or the information only using one channel. If the data is going to the server, it's going to use the same channel that if the data is going to the client. So that's really good. So we have lowered the probability of lose the information, the data. But when we compare with FTP, for example, FTP uses two channels. That can be a problem because some information can get lost or something, and this way we can get a better tracking of the data. Okay, can we encode and encrypt images? Yeah, we can. Image encoding and encryption can be used to different things, to watermark digital images for copyright purposes, or to make your personal images safe from the public or whatever. So when we transfer images, yeah, we can encode it and encrypt it. Usually images that are stored on laptops, smartphones, or in the cloud. The encryption gives you an extra layer of security to help keep your images private. Okay, next question. Can you explain the architecture of a secure API? Yeah, sure, of course. Okay, basically, we usually have the client and a server. Okay, what does the client does? The client usually uses a request that is usually to get some information from the database or to post some information into the database. This request is transformed into an HTTP language, so it will be understood by the machine, and that message is sent to the server, to the app server. Okay, what the app server is going to do is going to generate a token. So that token is going to be sent again to the client, and the client will need to verify that token is going to, usually it's going to have to do a registration or something, the client, that will generate a cookie that will identify that token for that client, and now the client will be able to do request without have to send in again like their credentials. It's going to just send every request the client is going to do. It will be sent with that token, and that token will tell the app server again what the permissions do the client have. So if the client is authorized to get some information, well, then it will go to the database, get the information that the client requests, and it will show that information to the client. Or if the client have also permission to post information to the database, well, then it will update the database with information that the client wants. Okay, can you recommend a secure framework for coding an API? Yeah, we can use ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET is a popular web development framework. Our API is using SPA, that web network. And well, it's on the open source version of ASP.NET, and it runs on MacOS, Linux, and Windows. And also we can use the OAuth 2.0 authorization framework that enables a third-party application to obtain limited access to an HTTP service. So that's what I recommend. And what data interchange format should we use while transferring data between locations? Well, that's JSON. JSON JavaScript object notation is a portable client-side markup language that allows for descriptive notion of complex objects. It allows for communication between the client and the server. This is right now the most popular format for transferring data. Is what all web developers are using right now. Why? Because it's really easy for people to read and for the browsers to parse. And JavaScript is the most popular language that is used to design as well APIs or web pages. And converting JSON to JavaScript objects takes one line of code. It's very easy and doesn't require any prior knowledge about this. Okay, how should we store our data in our many locations? Okay, well, first it's important knowing that in any moment a disaster can happen. So it's important to have data backup. So it's especially recommended that maybe we have 3 copies or 3 backups of the data always. So in case of any disaster or something, well, the information is not going to be lost. So first we have to have at least 3 backups, 3 copies of the data. And also, like you say that it's in many locations. Well, it's important. It would be recommendable to store the data in the cloud. It has a couple of advantages because if you have the data in the cloud, you can access from your device via the internet. So you can access it from any place you are, like you are in many locations. So it will be very helpful. And also, well, it's very important that the risk of data loss is inherently reduced, because well, the information is not in a hardware in a specific location. So, but it's in the web in the cloud. So I think that would be the best. And the ethical concerns related to the transmission of personal data, well, you know that nowadays in the world we live, there are all kind of information about us in the web, in the computers, and anything, because well, it can get we can have maybe our banking information, our credit information, our personal information, driver license, I don't know, medical information. And it's really important that it's properly used, that information, that it's not going to be lost. So every personal data transmission, we have to do it professionally. We can't lose that information, and we have to protect that information from being stolen, because that information can be used for many uses. Maybe it can be things that are not that important, like in proper commercial use, but it also can be used in really bad ways, so like theft of identity or something like that. So it's very important to that information is going to be secured, that is not going to be lost, that is not going to be stolen by someone. Okay, thank you very much.